Support for Short Stops is presented by the Caylum Trading Institute. Check out our website at www.cayluminstitute.com. On today's episode,
Well, I know of some people who participated in, well, now.
Kumita naman. Initially.
Nakita.
Nakita.
Pero hanggang ngayon, they're still holding
Okay.
onto it. So, and there's still this belief that it will be able to
Like turn out to be one of the strong telcos at the end of the rainbow.
So that's how can I say it's fascinating the storytelling is.
call it what you want, a game, an experiment, a gamble. But stock trading in the global financial markets to us is a business. Every day you're surrounded by the noise. Buy, sell, hold, buy more. And we're going to quiet it down and filter out the best trading strategies, tips, and stock picks. You want information on how to find your next bagger or home run? You'll find it right here on Short Stops.
Hi everyone, it's good to be back. I've been gone for the last 2 months. Welcome to episode 29. I think this year has been the year of speculation, the year of Dennis Uy, and I feel like a lot of people need to know and understand how speculation works from beginning all the way up until the end. We realize that there's a lot of money to be made, and a lot of people usually come into the stock market with the intention to invest for the long term. But let's face it, we all need to learn how to speculate, and we all need to understand how it works. So with me today is Terence and Bryan. They've had over 15 years of experience in the markets. So guys, welcome to the show.
Hello everyone. It's great to be back also after
Filipino. So the question is, we've seen so much speculation over the last, this year. I mean, they always come in different stories. So initially you had your third telco story. We've had Phoenix Petroleum, right? You hear Bitcoin, $30,000 US. And obviously, like, speculation is normal in this field. So, and a lot of people are uninformed of what can happen if it doesn't pan out their way. So maybe both of you can guide the listeners to illustrate how it starts first.
Well, I think how speculation starts, it always starts from a period of neglect, from
Walang may gusto.
walang pumapansin, 'di ba? Then suddenly you have some activity can be manifested by price and volume, plus there's always the qualitative part to it. There's a story that people are trying to speculate on.
But before there, normally naman yung story, diba, minsan wala, minsan meron. Diba? Tsaka sometimes lumalabas lang yung story pag umakyat na. Right? So, how would you like distinguish in terms of price and volume initially, whether it's something you should be watchful for?
I think in terms of price and volume, there has to be a significant change in price. And also significant change in volume. Maybe visually you can see the volume is significantly higher than the past, say, 3-4 months.
Do you have an absolute amount? It's like,
I think has to be at the minimum probably 10 times.
what its average daily volume is.
Has to be huge talaga.
So
It's
example,
not enough
like-
2 times, 3 times. Kailangan mga 10 times.
So example, let's say like if it's normally trading at 5 million value traded, dapat tumiting ka mga 50 million just to see
Dapat
something.
50 million.
So it has to be relatively also bigger than its historical average.
Yes.
Tapos in price, you're looking for that big surge in movement. Normally, do you have an idea?
Usually people are looking for a percentage, but probably it's just looking at the whole candle. If it's paglitaw siya talaga, then it's accompanied by huge volume.
So the range is bigger than the
Then you can, if you see those things happening, then you can start trying to dig through disclosures or whatever to find out if there's anything to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is usually the first stages naman,
Yeah.
yung lumalabas kasi
Yes,
you
yes.
see a big movement in price, then volume starts to pick out, right? What are usually signs that something's like fake or not? What would you want to see in the stock price from then on?
I think if price is sustained, especially on the close, on the day of the big move, if price closes or pag hindi bumalik yan, sabihin, it sustains its gain for the day. For example, it has been going up for the day for 20%, then suddenly bumalik yan sa
Original price.
original price. Ayun mo, alam mo na, may mali.
Okay, okay. So you want something that's going up and sustained.
Sustained,
Do you have an
yeah.
indicator that you normally use in these cases? Whether it's moving averages, MACD, ADX, RSI?
I think in order to objectify it, I think you have to use moving averages and 10-day EMA. At the same time, it has to be a 6-month high. Then I think the most important indicator for me is everything has to come with volume. So sustained price movement, even after the first day, probably within a week you have to see sustained price movement and
follow-throughs.
accompanied by volume.
I think the challenge kasi for a lot of times is that hindi mo alam kung gaano katagal ba. Let's say for example, pwede mag-breakout ng 1 week. Sometimes it breaks out for like 1 or 2 months, right? And then there are some that just 1 day tapos na, right? So when we're talking about, let's say, like sustainability, normally you guys look at moving averages and then with sustained price and volume, just to.
I think one example recently maybe like food. Diba? Yesterday, there was some activity, but volume was not. It was okay. It was okay. There was some participation, but it didn't reach those levels that we were looking for. Looking for, diba? So today, there's no follow through. Volume also did not push through, diba? So it wasn't sustainable. I think those are the ones that we have to be careful of.
The reason why we also had this podcast is not just to illustrate what happens initially and in the mid. It's also to show, let's say, like a lot of these speculation, what happens at the end of the rainbow. Kasi like if you don't know when to get out also,
yes.
yung problema dito, pag ikaw yung naipit, ang daming nasusunog eh. Diba? So we've seen like the other third telco players, right? You've seen now, ECP, TBGI, MRC. A lot of these other stocks have gone down 70-80%. What would you advise like most of these listeners and those who are starting out on speculation?
Initially, you have to distinguish first what is speculation and what is investment. I think that's the usual mistake, which is suddenly people are turning their speculations into investments.
Totoo yan, right? Kasi a lot of people don't know don't know how to separate expectations for both eh. So inisip nila, let's say like bumili sila ng on a speculative stock, they assume it's for long term eh.
Yes, always. The term is what's their term? Can I say it? Bodega. Yan. Pamana ba yan?
Pamana stocks.
Pamana stocks.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but it's true eh. Kasi let's say if you look through history, right? You've seen a lot of speculative stocks turn out into be like big winners also. Diba?
Yes.
So for example, let's say like Apple, $10. Microsoft, $2.50.
What usually Peter Lynch does, usually what he buys starts as a small cap, then as years go by, it becomes a really
Correct.
Yeah, it becomes a real business.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there he will be able to achieve his 10 baggers, 15 baggers.
Correct. But the question is, when you're looking at most of these speculative stocks in the Philippines, the question should be, are these actual businesses in the first place, diba?
If you differentiate a speculation with the investment, so two things you have to consider: the time frame and the expectations. Price expectations. So for speculation, the time frame should be really short. So it's like you should be able to answer what will be going up tomorrow or today.
Okay.
Versus an investment, which is the time frame is long term.
Okay.
What you have to answer is, what is a good business? What is making money? What stock is producing cash flows?
Okay.
So
but that's the expectation of the stock.
So your expectation of the price is it will not go up tomorrow.
Okay.
Price will go up with the earnings. So
over time.
Okay. Versus a speculation,
like ISM.
For example, an ISM. Speculations on the third telco. So they are saying if ISM becomes a third telco, the idea is to be able to match the value of the current telcos with,
let's say, Globe and PLDT.
Yeah, with Globe. So that's the speculation. So people are enamored with that.
Problema lang, lumabas na, napanalo na sila.
So that's the thing.
Once everybody knows about
Yeah,
it.
once
the uncertainty is removed.
once the uncertainty is removed, wala na yung
I
speculation.
think it's just basically understanding what the nature of speculation really is, diba? Nature of speculation, you're playing, you're riding on the uncertainty and the fact that people's imaginations can run wild, their emotions can run wild, diba? So given that's the nature of speculation, it should be really very short term, and that there has to be manifestations in price and volume that tell you that the stock continues to be in play for that
Correct.
for that moment in time.
And it's equally important to know at some point you have to get out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And when that point comes, whether it's through, like what you said, removing the uncertainty, or like what you said, when the price is not being sustained also, right? These are things and ideas for you to start second guessing whether you're actually here for the short term or the long term, right?
Yes, so at a certain point, you'll be used to those speculations. Like for example, last week, our chairman has already warned us about ISM, diba? When the president of China arrived here, the chairman was talking about the speculation becoming reality already. So the price movement, the price excitement on the price will
Baka mawala.
na.
Okay.
So that's an example of speculation becoming reality and removing the uncertainty.
I think there's also the danger of trying to assign a number to things. Like
Yes,
for
yes.
example, as you said earlier, there's a carrot that's being dangled, diba? That's why ako minsan when I'm speculating, minsan I don't want to know about the numbers, or I don't want to know about the fundamentals because
Oh, ma-
tao lang tayo eh. Tao lang tayo eh. You get in
Oo.
love with the ano eh.
Yeah.
Diba? So it's important to know the catalyst or the qualitative story why people are hyped up about it, diba? But it's still speculation in the end, diba? That's why you don't have any definite numbers to back it up. If you have certainty, diba? Then you have that sell on news phenomenon, diba? But if numbers really come in eventually, that's a long process.
Long process.
That's a
yeah,
long
tama.
process.
Correct.
diba? It doesn't happen overnight na news comes in, then the numbers are there.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been trading for the last 15 plus years. What have been some of the greatest speculations that you've seen in the stock market?
Lepanto back in 2012, diba, when gold fields came in, right? So, but syempre the ore body always stayed nasa lupa pa rin, never na nalabas. Diba?
Yeah.
Yun.
What happened to the stock price?
Eventually, went up probably 6 times, 7 times, but eventually went back down below pa.
This was in a year, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Bryan?
For me, similar to the Lepanto story, is also a mining stock. I think I wrote about this 2 weeks ago. It's TRQ. It's Turquoise Hill
Resources.
So, yeah. So it's a Mongolian mining company that mines gold and copper. So it's probably the most, I think, the biggest copper mine in the whole world. The chairman loves it so much. So back in 2009, I think it went up from $2 to 24. So it's a 12-bagger
How long was that?
in 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
2
Went up
years.
12 times in 2 years.
So the price was driven by the story, a great story, but if you check the stock now, it's doing well. I think it's doing well operationally. It's able to,
Kumikita na siya.
Yeah, kumikita na siya. But the stock price now is at $1.86.
So it's below where you originally bought it from.
Yeah, that's why.
Hello, replacement cost na yan.
Yeah, nobody knows really what will happen in the future, and the mania today, whatever speculation that you do today, does not guarantee any good stock price in the future.
Fantastic advice. Yeah. But we also have to understand that like all stocks naman in general usually come from small nature companies, right? So we have to understand that. You have to understand the differences in perspective also. Meaning when you understand when mania or speculation is just too much, or whether like there's some legitimate business to these guys, where if you're playing it for the long haul, okay lang din, diba? So you have to understand basically the different types of perspectives that you have also when it comes to speculation.
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast in speculation. So there's the future is uncertain whether the business will push through. So the manipulator.
Correct.
The manipulator knows how to play this game. So what he'll do is play with the emotions of the crowd.
Got it.
So
So the challenge is like as internet gets widespread, more people open accounts, more people become involved in the stock market. Syempre, these beginners or these new players don't know how the stock market works, right? So when manipulators or jockeys start to come in and they understand how movements or these big moves can happen, right? They can take advantage of all these small players also, right? So I think the point is, right, we have educating these players the right way and how when the bells stop ringing, you have to know when to stop.
yeah, when
on that
the party's
speculation.
over, they say.
Yeah, when the party is over. Yeah, but the thing is, you need to know the party is over.
I think you have to have a bare minimum amount of rules to apply in playing the
Speculation
I
game.
think
Speculation,
also
yeah.
when you're when you're doing speculation, you have to be happy with whatever money you make. Kasi it's normal for us to think na we could sell at the very peak, diba? So it's parang it's all hindsight, but you're just trying to milk the most out of it.
Yeah.
Diba? So it's what people have to learn in speculation. It's more of parang there are a set of rules to objectify it, diba? Then it's more of parang wash, rinse, repeat na lang. As you can make a lot of money in short amount of time, diba? So you have to control your risk na lang. But then just look for the opportunities or conditions wherein it's rife for speculation talaga. You can keep on trading short term that way.
What do you think are the biggest mistakes most speculators or like beginners normally do?
I think tao lang tayo lahat eh. Kasi like for example last year, I remember about 1 year ago when Bitcoin was hitting its highs, diba? I was trying to understand it. I was looking into it. I was really willing to give it a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the price was flying, diba? But I guess you have to understand that I was thinking at that time this thing could be big. It could still double from here or something, diba? But you have to understand that these things, for the numbers to come in, business to really come out of it, diba? These things, it's a process talaga. It doesn't come overnight, I guess.
oversizing and not knowing when to give up on the trade.
Okay, so on the first one on oversizing, how would you normally illustrate that?
Well, most new traders will always fall into the trap of oversizing because they'll be emotionally driven by the stories.
So betting more than what they can actually take.
always. Kasi exciting yan eh. So parang one chance of a lifetime. Ito na yan.
You're computing
diba?
in your head na how much
Oo.
you'll make it. That's why you have to buy a certain
So parang
amount
let's say like
diba?
100%. So you bet everything in an assumption that you're gonna triple or quadruple or make 10 times.
Gagawin ko na rin. Parang sigurado naman, di todo ko na. Yan, mga ganyan eh, diba? Ganyan yung mga rational.
Got it.
And the other one is staying too long in the trade. Well, I know of some people who participated in, well, now.
Kumita naman. Initially.
Nakita.
Nakita.
Pero hanggang ngayon, they're still holding
Okay.
onto it. So, and there's still this belief that it will be able to
Like turn out to be one of the strong telcos at the end of the rainbow.
So that's how can I say this? Fascinating the storytelling is. Kasi talagang it's really ingrained deep inside eh.
Parang naniniwala na talaga sa
Talagang,
kumpanya. What about, I mean, like understanding noise. I think it's another common mistake is that there's so much noise that happens, especially with social media,
Okay.
so many
okay.
different platforms.
Oh.
So maybe a solution would probably like make sure you have a system in place, right? So that when these noise come
It
about,
has to be confirmed still by the price
Yeah.
and the volume.
or at least have some form, let's say what you said, rules and system, so at least you avoid going through that roller coaster of emotions, diba? So just to recap some of the solutions that you guys provided and tips. You guys talked about percentage of your portfolio by limiting it to 5%. Having a rule or systems. So for example, you mentioned about the moving averages, price and volume being sustained. And it's important to have that system so at least you do something scientific and you know at the very least hanggang saan ka before you get out during that entire transaction, right? And I guess the last tip that you guys provided was make sure you understand the difference behind a speculation and an investment. Do you have last words for people speculating?
I advise people to just really be careful in who to follow or what stock to buy, and really study each and everything that you trade and speculate.
I think just do your due diligence, diba? Just understanding what's in play, what's at stake, diba? And in the end, just having that set of rules lang to protect yourself, because you never know naman where these things, like for example now, early in the year, diba? Went up from what? From 5-6 pesos, went up to close to 20 pa rin. Diba? So there's still money to be made talaga. It's just that you have to know your limits, diba? Because as I said earlier, the imagination runs wild. We always want to sell. When these things come, we always want to be loaded and sell everything at the top. Kasi ako mismo, I can admit when I go into these types of trades, I also feel the hype. Diba? I want these trades to go on.
I think we all do. All right, great advice, guys. Thanks so much for being on the show. This is our second to the last episode before we end the year. We'll be having a Christmas special with episode number 30. And going to 2019, we're very excited to bring something even bigger and better for all you listeners. Thanks so much. See you guys next week.